It's not your fault. You've been taught to believe in separation between you, what you want, your higher self, your heart, your dreams, even the twin flame in the twin flame journey. And that means love. So what if I told you that separation really isn't just an illusion as we've heard it and know it, but it's more about the projection you're projecting out and what you're putting out there that's creating the separation. And what that means is what you're seeing really isn't the reality. It's only the stories of your mind, the programs you've taken on from your outside world, and it's separating you from what you can see or believe is even possible. So in today's video, I'm going to unpack the concept of separation. I'm going to share with you 4 powerful ideas, points of topic that can help you collapse that projection and bridge that gap from where you are to where you want to be so that you can align with the highest version of you. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Harmony, and I've spent years helping people to break free from the illusions of separation, whether it's from their relationship, their purpose, their heart, their career, and even their twin flame. I've helped people begin to collapse this idea and illusion of separation and begin to bridge that gap and bring alignment to their truest and highest self. If you've ever felt like what you desire is just out of reach, like you're a rabbit chasing a carrot on a stick, then keep watching because I'm going to share with you how to collapse that projection. I'd like to take just a moment to dedicate and celebrate this video with my dog, Champ Avalon, as a heavenly birthday, as his birthday is on January 28th, and this video is coming out on the 29th. But the book that I wrote that took me 10 years to parallel his journey and to share his message, his mission, all the lessons he taught me in our journey together. It is free today only until midnight Pacific Standard Time, but you can get that free in the link below. So make sure to check that out. It also carries a lot of transformational tips that can help you bridge this gap of illusion and find and discover more of your true self. So today we're talking about separation and why that's an illusion. And it really doesn't matter what the thing is. If you don't have it and you see yourself not having it, you're separating yourself from being able to have it. And that's through just your idea of seeing and looking at, say, the glass half empty versus half full. But the best part about this is that when you can become aware that it's just an illusion and that your projection is what's creating this, then you can begin to reprogram that and make changes in that. And so I don't know about you, but I have felt this sense of separation on the cusp of a lot of things for really most of my life. It would be houses, cars, definitely even relationships, to where, for instance, I would be going to buy a house and looking at houses, and I would be just this little mark away from getting the house I really wanted versus the house that I ended up settling for because it's what my finances showed and my budget showed. But inside of me, I always chose and wanted something bigger and better. And a lot of that is as a child, I really programmed myself to always, even down to my home as a child, I always saw whatever I had around me wasn't good enough, that no matter what showed up, it wasn't the right thing. And I focused so much on what I didn't want that it pushed away what I wanted. And as we know, this twin flame journey can be an ideal example of this, but I don't want to make this whole video or this whole topic about just the separation in the twin flame journey, because the key in this is that is an illusion as well, meaning that maybe you are not supposed to be with that particular person, or you've been on this journey and you're still projecting onto that person that they are the ones going to make you happy, that only can you have your happiness and your true fulfillment with that person. It is the same concept. So the whole thing about the twin flame journey works perfectly for this idea and concept of separation, which is all these things we're going to talk about, and not just the twin flame journey that creates that separation in you and everything that you're basically wanting. And so I've been doing this work for a long time, even personally on my own journey of my own twin flame journey. and my own growth, my own evolution. And there's still that chasing that carrot that's always something kind of just out of reach. And so one of the things I've done over the last year is I stopped chasing anything, and I just paused and I just stepped back and I just started releasing things off my plate that didn't feel like they served the best or highest purpose of me. And by doing that, that really opened up the space for me to start to see more of what is that I truly want. Because also sometimes what we want is not what we truly want, or not for highest good. So you might want to be with your twin flame, but they may not represent your full highest good in a full relationship. They may be the perfect person in this point in time to reflect to you and trigger you and bring light to the triggers that need to be seen so that you can go deeper in and heal those things. But it's not your highest version of who you are becoming that matches that person, and you won't match them there. So if you're hanging on to, say, the twin flame in this case, then you're technically also separating from yourself, your highest good, and you're not letting go to create the space for the true love that you want. And it's an illusion that this person can fill that void because you haven't found it within yourself, or tapped into the higher self, or connected to the God universal energy to recognize that when you are love, you experience the love and you step into your empowerment, and that you can experience that love with anything and everyone around you should you create that. So I feel guided to share with you a video that has been really popular here on my channel, and that is why the twin flame always comes back to keep reflecting these things to you, or that same person, and how you're attracting that. So make sure to check out the link above or below for that video to learn more about that on that twin flame concept, because as we go forward, I want to break this down in like a general scenario and show you how this is represented and reflects everything in your life. So the first thing I want to unpack in this is for you to take accountability in the idea that separation is an illusion by your own projection. And so what that really means is when you have a perspective based on the stories you've been told, based on the past things that have unfolded for you, based on unconscious belief systems that you've taken on from the world around you, the people around you, and that projects or brings inside of you, I shouldn't say project yet, I should say that awakens inside of you, that opens up and connects to a side of you that has fear, that maybe the ego is popping its head and rearing its head, giving you these doubts, these I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, because the ego technically wants to stay safe and play small. So the ego will also trick you in how you see things, part of the illusion. But in that, basically under all of that, you have these old patterns that are trying to help you stay safe. But in those patterns, they're also disconnecting you from what it is that you truly want based on your perception. And so in your perception of this, you have to recognize that it is your perception that creates the projection based on your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and your beliefs that are accumulated through these past experiences that technically are still running unconsciously, that you haven't recognized that they're still running. And you have to, instead of blaming anything outside of you, the twin flame, even say the job and not being where you want successfully in what you would consider successfully in, say, your business or in your bank account. So all of these things is basically just the distance between it and you based on your own limitation, your own ability to see things as they truly are. And when I say truly are, see things as you have the potential, the possibility, and the capabilities and the empowerment in yourself to be the co-creator of your life, and to start seeing the glass half full, not half empty. And so one of the things I would recommend that plays a big role in this is paying attention to your attention. Where is your attention? What is your focus? Where are you placing your focus, on the half full or the half empty? And most of us, because of our old experiences, and lack, we tend to, when we repeat these karmic wheel cycles, so to speak, we tend to be familiar with the idea that here we go again, here we go again. And when something comes up that is actually maybe presenting itself for you to be able to implement the new way, instead you go into the familiar of thinking it's repeating itself because you haven't done what you need to do in order to break free from that cycle or that pattern. And you just assume that the worst. So one of the things I want you to be super cognitive of is being able to pay attention to your attention and create more observation of where is your perception, where is your focus, and when these things pop up that maybe trigger you, and like that beep bop thing where those little machines with those little squirrel heads come up and you bop them down, like when they pop up and they rear their heads, begin to like just pause for a moment and without judgment, just observe what that is, where it's coming from, and listen. And in all reality, that's the validity you need from yourself, and that you need to pause long enough to give yourself the attention that you need, that is technically what you think is you need from someone else to validate you from outside of you. And now you're blaming that person because they're not showing up and making you feel seen or heard, but you're the one that's literally creating this scenario. So let me know in the comments what areas of your life you're feeling stuck in separation. And I'd love to create more content to help you begin to reveal those blocks, to help you begin to see in your body where it's still manifesting and where you've still hidden that information that's saying you are not good enough or you're not worthy enough to have whatever it is that's just out of reach. So let me know in the comments things you're experiencing, and I can create some content around that. So the second point I want to make about the separation a lot of times has to do with the gap, and a gap between who you've been, who you're becoming, between you and your true self, between you and your higher self, between you and your heart, between your unconscious and your conscious and your higher conscious. And in that gap, basically, it really just creates this sense of like putting the distance between what you have and what you want. And so this goes back a little bit to which part of that gap are you placing your perception on or your focus on? Where's your point of attraction in that? And we'll talk a little bit more about that kind of coming up. But I want to share with you an example of like an exercise that I actually did. I'm not telling you to go out to do this exercise because it could be technically, you have to be careful doing this. But I went to a live event at one of my spiritual mentors that recently passed, and he gave us these boards, and they were about 1 inch thick. And basically the goal was to hit that board and to go through it and to break it with your hand, with your bare hand. And a lot of people just hit the board, hit the board, hit the board. But the objective of this exercise was to see yourself on the other side before you even went to hit and to go into that board. And what that means is in this gap, you need to see yourself on the other side of the gap. And most of us don't even know what is on the other side. So how are you going to get there if you can't see what that is, or you don't spend some time getting to know the version of you that you're becoming or that you actually want to become, because you are co-creating that? The barrier will constantly be there until you choose to see yourself on the other side of the board. And when you do, and you go to hit that board, it's like going through toilet paper, really. And I was actually pretty proud of myself because, while people were hitting this board over and over, I hit the board once and went straight through it. It was just as easy as slicing bread, so to speak. So now I want to give another illustration of something that can help you kind of pay attention to this idea and help you use these words I'm about to say as you practice this without a board. So yes means no, and no means yes. So what happens in that is if you want something really, really, really bad, like your twin flame, and all the energy is just barreling through you and coming out you in this really projected, and this is where the projection comes in, is the projection is so focused, so zeroed in. That's why you got to know what is your focal point. And it's so zeroed in that that amount of force coming from you is creating a no, because it's pushing away from you and creating the distance that is separating what it is you want from you. On the contrary, if you don't want something, a no means yes, because you're doing the same thing, but about something you don't want. And so that same kind of force, that same kind of energy is being directed out there so forcefully that it's actually, because of the counter polarity, it draws to you what you don't want instead of pushing it away in the other aspect, because force equals force. So if you're one hand, you're forcing over here and you're pushing it away, and on this end, you're kind of pushing in the opposite direction, which is pulling it to you. And I'm going to give you an example of this when I was a kid. So I was a great manifester, apparently, when I was a kid. I would get new shoes, and usually I would get these white shoes with these black stripes on them. And they were kind of like a tennis shoe, but they were kind of flat. And I don't know, they were pretty popular to wear with my bell bottoms back in the day. But my big thing was, I don't want people stepping on these new shoes and leaving a black mark on my shoe. And I literally, that's all I would think about getting these new shoes. And I also, as a child, was very much a perfectionist. And so my perfection was this thing of everything I didn't want, seeing, the glass half empty versus half full. And I was creating all these things. Somebody steps on my foot and leaves a black mark on my shoe. And so, the point is, yes means no, and no means yes, because you're pushing away or pulling to you in that case what it is you don't want, and you're pushing away what you want, and that's creating this gap between you and what you want. So what I invite you to do in this is to really just pay attention to your yeses and nos, and to know that if you have these obstacles that are in your way, that's keeping you from getting what you want and putting the separation between there, use it as an opportunity rather than the obstacle, and see yourself on the other side of the obstacle and get really clear on what you want on the other side of that, so you can bring alignment to it, so you can bring it into your present moment by showing up in the frequency and the vibration of who that person is that has what it is you want, or at the same vibration and frequency of the thing you do want. So the third pointed topic that I want to discuss about how you can see and recognize this illusion and the separation is for you to begin to take specific steps to collapse your projection. So that is how you really bridge the gap. But how do we do that? So the first thing you have to do is recognize that it is truly an illusion, and that it's coming from somewhere in you that is only seeing what it knows to see. That's only seeing it from a limitation. That's only seeing it from a doubt, from a fear, and maybe even from some space that's unclear about what it is you actually want. And until you do get the clarity, you're going to still be separate from where you go. But recognizing that you need to, I mentioned earlier, take accountability and responsibility for this, but you got to recognize that it is illusion at where the separation is coming from. So in the observation I mentioned earlier, you need to really pay attention to that observation of where are these illusions coming from when you are separate. And that calls from really getting to know yourself and to pay attention to your attention, as I mentioned. But the second way you can really take some action here is that you can begin to realign your vision with what it is you want, and to focus on basically who you're becoming versus who you've been or the things you've went through, and begin to take some aligned actions that align with this version and this thing that you want, whatever it is, being your own self. And a lot of times, the reason I also bring this up about focusing on your future self or your higher version of you, because in that version of you, you will be more clear, you'll be more aligned, you'll have greater vision, and you can begin to shift your vibration and frequency to refocus on the things you want, because you'll be more clear about them. But on the flip side of that, if you already know what you want, you need to be refocusing some of these things on what you want. But even in that, you do have to be super careful, because if what you want is being put out to the universe, but then you're constantly looking at it and you're constantly checking your bank account and you're constantly wondering when that money is going to come and you're constantly focusing on it, you're creating that separation. So you just need to have the vision of it. You need to put it to the side and know what that vision is, have belief in that vision, and then move your attention back into how you show up every day, and the gap, which is the present moment, that becomes how you live, and you become the demonstration how you show up every day and how you feel and how fulfilled you feel, and how in that at the end of your day, can you truly have a sense of, I accomplished something, that I had a purpose today when I got up, which, by the way, I want to tell you, that's why morning rituals make such a huge difference, doing gratitude at the end or beginning of every day. And so I actually created last week a morning meditation, 15 minutes, that can help you begin to sow seeds for your day. And as you sow these seeds, you're putting your intentions into it, and you're putting out to the universe what it is you want, with the expectation it's coming back, but you allow the universe to handle how it comes back, and you continue about your journey without keeping your focus so shifted on that you're technically pushing it away. And the third part of collapsing this projection and bridging that gap between where you are and where you want to be is trusting the divine timing and leaning into the intuition, and also knowing that you can have even a separation in you and the source of you, which in that separation is you're not experiencing or becoming true divine love, because fear and love can't exist in the same vibration. It can't exist in the same field. So if you're still operating out of fear, out of all your things you're showing up as, then that again is going to separate you from having what it is you want. But when you can show up from a place of love, and you can be love, and you can let go of the outcomes, and you can fully embody the idea that where you are is where you need to be, and that it's perfect, and you trust the universe to handle the details of how you process this, of getting where you are to where you want to be, then you're going to collapse that much faster. So I want to share with you a quick story to illustrate how fast you can bridge this gap, and how you can basically collapse this projection or use it to your benefit. As I mentioned earlier, yes means no and no means yes. So here I am at a studio condo here in Panama City Beach, and I get here and I thought I was going to have a closet, and the closet says do not open, and it's the owner's closet. And so basically it's adjacent to the bathroom, and every time I would use the bathroom I would see this closet, and I would see this do not open. And every time I'd see the do not, my twinge, my body would just zing and zing and zing. And I kept feeling this barrier. And I kept thinking, no, I just want to open. And it was so much to the point where I literally was thinking about getting a piece of paper and taping over top the do not. One thing about that is that the universe does not hear do not either, or don't, or I don't want. It only hears what it is you're saying you don't want, which is why you're getting what you don't want, because it wants to give you that. Basically, though, for about probably 4.5, maybe 5 weeks, I kept looking at that door, feeling these triggers, basically, and all I could see was open, open, open. About a week and a half ago, my hot water heater went out here, and they came to fix it. And when they came to fix it, the electrical boxes inside of that closet, well, the owner had the key, so there was no way to get inside of it. So the leasing office gave them permission to basically break into the door to get into the electrical box. And so the door got open. And so the funny thing is about that, when they left, the guy says, well, we're going to go ahead and just leave this unlocked, so that way if you need to access anything else while you're here, because I'd had some other repairs that needed to be done, that you have access to this. And I am telling you, I manifested this whole thing of getting this door open based on my projection, based on not seeing the door. I didn't see the door shut. I didn't see it as that board there. I saw on the other side of that door and it was going to open. And I kid you not, even that night, I went to turn on YouTube for something, and there was a video that popped up and it said the door is open. So I opened it up and I watched it, and basically she was sharing this card that said the door is open. And in the description of it, it said that pure intention has the ability to make the impossible possible. And so this is a piece of what I'm telling you here because of what you see. You see the door shut, you see the board, and you can't get beyond it and get what you want because all these barriers is the limitations, then the blocks that's preventing you from getting to the other side of this bridge because you see the obstacle. And that is only an illusion. And so I'm encouraging you to see yourself on the other side of the door, see yourself on the other side of the board, and watch the magic happen. And when it does, I want you to leave me a comment below. And even if you've had this where you've been, the magician to open doors and break boards and things like that, I want to hear about it because I think we need to lift each other up to know what's possible and to help realize and recognize we don't have to keep being stuck in these limitations just because we see these things that are only illusions. So the fourth main point about this separation is an illusion I want to mention, and I kind of said this already, but if you're in the process of trying to align with this newer, better, greater, higher version of you, which we're all doing, then you really got to spend some time in introspection. You got to take the time to get to know that version of you. And that also means you need to take the actions in the right direction that helps you reinvent that side of you. And we've all been kind of put in this corner, so to speak, and into this place that has had us not sure of what direction to take. Part of that is because we're not supposed to take a direction. We're truly supposed to take a pause. But on the flip side of that, if you want to bridge that gap and you want to get beyond these illusions and you take the time to look at where did these blocks even come from? So that's the other piece in this. You do need to look at where did this come from? Where did I put this door up? Where did I put the wall up? Where did I create this board that is preventing me from seeing? Because it came from somewhere. You may have been already working on different things to see where these blocks are, which, by the way, as I say that, it makes me think about a technique that I've used with clients for years in order to reveal to them where these blocks started. And it's a little bit of like a guided sort of meditation and visualization that takes them into this space and see it, and then to heal it and clear it and to let it go. And the minute you kind of get to that point and reprogram it, then you can become on this other version of you. Then you can get on the other side of what this obstacle is and this illusion is, because you begin to see who it is you're becoming and get really clear on that. So with that being said, if you would like for me to do a video on that, where I can take you on an inner journey that will help you identify and clear these blocks, let me know, because I'd love to support you in that and create a video on that. So you can leave me a message in the comment. But when it comes to reinventing yourself and coming into alignment with that higher and highest version of you, you're going through a personal growth process, and you can recognize that then it's easier to actually recognize that it's your responsibility and that you know that you've created these things, that only you can change them, and how you show up needs to be differently with your new thoughts, your new feelings, your new actions, which takes you being able to be accountable for that and make a choice on implementing those things, and to realize and recognize that you're worth and that you're valuable and that you deserve the things that you actually want. And again, I mentioned that's a reinvention process. So in the process of that, I want you to recognize too that this is not about fixing anything, because a lot of times we've done all this work and it becomes like, I'm fixing myself, I'm having to fix all these things. And that's also an illusion, because it's more about shift it to the reinvention of who this is and who you want to become and how you show up. And that's going to help you step into alignment with that version of you, but most importantly, even unlock more of your truth of that person that is already in you. And that's the key. You're only becoming in this version, you're trying to peel back the layers to like an onion and get to the core of who you are. And it's already inside of here. Think of it as like the clay and being a sculptor, and that it's already down in there. The whole shape of everything is just chipping away at everything and getting down to the molding of the beauty of who you truly are. And so I think if you can move away from this idea that you're fixing yourself, it can truly help you to recognize that you are perfect the way you are. And all you're doing is reprogramming some of the old stuff that's not yours anyway. And that helps you then begin to step into more of your true self and make that shift, which creates more of a powerful transformation than only focusing on all the negative and all the pain and all the stuff that you continue to cycle through that keeps you stuck in the karmic wheel. And so one of the things I want to invite you to is, if you're ready to work deeper on this, I have an online course that's the Reinvent the New You, and it's going to guide you through step by step of this process that I'm talking about. And it's normally only $47, but I actually have it on discount right now for $27. And you can get that using the code ALIGN20. And I'll have the link below so you can get plugged into that if that resonates with you. But this course gives you the tools to help you stop projecting the separation between you and what you want. It helps you learn to expand your mind, expand your heart, expand your life, and help you actually see the good sides, helps you see the glass half full. And that offer is good until Sunday, February 2nd at midnight. So check out that link and let me know in the comments where you are, if you're feeling stuck in separation, because I'd love to support you and create more content that can help you bridge the gap and align with your true self. And until next time, keep shining, stay aligned, and I will see you in the next video.